Welcome, 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 my friends. This is Robert Arthur joining you, and this is the module number 3 of 6. And if you're calling to learn the skills and mindset necessary to really ignite your Isagenix business and to build an incredible, strong, passionate team full of leaders and visionaries, then you are in the right place at the right time. And I definitely want to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you, because, just because you're on this live session or on this recording, you, my friend, are a leader. You're stepping up. Remember, leaders are lifelong students. So let's just jump into our topic today. And these are some of the three of the main pieces, if you will, or modules that we're going to cover on this piece today. I'm going to share a fun little story with you that'll kind of really bring home to each of us what it means to have a bigger vision and how it can exponentially increase how effective you are in attracting leaders into your business and long-term customers as well. And then we're going to really spend the meat and heart of this session today on developing and really getting really familiar with your, if you want to call it your sizzle story, if you want to call it your testimonial, if you want to call it just your why, then we're going to share some really nuggets and ins and outs around how to do that most effectively, and equally importantly, how to teach your team that concept. And then we're also going to touch on the fact that the key to any aspect of your business, from the training and mentoring to the prospecting, to presenting, to enrolling, it truly is about developing your skills and developing your ability to what's called actively, if you will, listen. To ask the questions and then listen. To share your story and listen. To book a look, have somebody watch the videos, and then ask the questions, and you guessed it, listen. It's a key listening skill. So a number of you might have heard this story before, but if you haven't, then you're in for a treat. It's one of my favorite stories. I heard it from one of my mentors many years ago, and it hits home. It's a timeless little story. So I want you to picture in your mind's eye. You see in your picture here, there's one individual. I want you to picture that you're walking down possibly a street in, let's say, Italy. It's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, and you're walking down the street, and you look up, and you see this big project going on. And at a glance, you see that you think you know what it's going to be, but you're not quite sure. But it looks beautiful. There's a stone wall coming up, and you see the potential of something very grand. And you walk up and you see 3 different stonemasons, okay? And you tap the first one on the shoulder, and he kind of spins around kind of abruptly, and you can, yeah, what do you want? Kind of thing. Like you interrupted his whole day. And you say, well, sir, excuse me, I was just wondering what you and the team here, what you guys are creating, what you're building. And he said, he looks around and kind of huffs and said, well, can't you see? We're putting up a wall of stones. Oh, well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. He spins around and goes back to laying his next stone. Then you tap the other stonemason on the shoulder, and you can see he's taking more care and really making sure the wall is straight and secure. He's taking measurements, and he takes pride in his work. He spins around, and he smiles kind of tentatively, not quite sure what you have in mind, but you ask him the same question. Sir, excuse me, but I was just wondering, I would love to hear from you. We're here in Italy, kind of viewing the town here in Milan, and I was curious to know what the project is. What are you creating? And he kind of very shyly smiles and said, well, I'm part of a team, and we're actually putting together a series of walls here, and we're creating kind of a foundation for a project we're doing, and I'm having fun with it. And you see, I'm here with a great team, and it's going really well. So hopefully feel free to look around and enjoy yourself. And so you now understand that, yeah, there's more to it. There's a project, there's a team, but you don't get the big picture. So you walk a little further down, and now you see this gentleman you see in your picture. And my goodness, he has so much more pride. He's taken so much more time. And you can see he's really just, he loves what he's doing, loves his work. You tap him on the shoulder. He looks around with this big, broad smile on his face. Yes, can I help you? How are you doing today? And, you exchange some small talk, and you say, I was just asking some of your coworkers here what project you guys are doing. His whole being lights up, and the smile goes from ear to ear, and it's positively contagious. And you said, wow, I am so glad you asked. I'm part of this whole team of artists, masons here, along with the other architect and the there's a whole other team that will be following us, and we're part of this project where we're creating this beautiful rendition of a classical cathedral. We're going to build. It's going to be an amazing, beautiful work of art. And he walks you around the site, and he kind of, in his mind's eye, he waves his hands in the air, and he paints this picture. He shows you the architectural drawings, and you just fall in love with what this place is going to be and look like. And he says, oh my goodness. And, babies will come to be christened, and weddings will be held in here, and services to celebrate people's lives, and lives will be transformed here. I am so excited to be part of this incredible project. So you can probably venture to say the moral to the story and how it applies to anything that we do in life, much less Isagenix, is you need to ask yourself, are you like the first stonemason where, you get up in the morning and say, okay, how can I sell my next Pacesetter pack? And how can I make my next $50 PIB? Or how can I enroll my next person to be on the team newsletter? Or if you're like the second stonemason where, how can I make my next car note? How can I, get my first couple, how can I get my double PIBs next week? And I really want to, take at this, I'm trying this and I'm trying that. But unless you have a much bigger vision, if you're like the third stonemason, he had his heart and his passion and his whole being was tied in to what he was doing. So in Isagenix, when people ask you what you do, then you can step into a place in your heart where oh my goodness, I'm part of this community of people. We are making a huge difference on this planet. We're changing little babies' lives. We're changing grandparents' lives. We're helping people turn their health around, get their health on track. We're actually giving them hope again, that they can step into their dreams so they can really give back. I'm part of this team where I'm helping whatever you're giving back in, I'm helping in my church at a level I never thought possible. I'm volunteering now at the neighborhood charity. I'm part of this community that truly is making a difference on so many levels in people's lives. And then the key word, remember, is listen. And if they don't lean into that, and you're that passionate, then you very well know they really don't have the qualities and share even a portion of the vision that you're looking to create. So hope that little story helped, and hopefully you'll step into a place where you keep it continually expanding and expanding and expanding your vision of what's possible and what you're doing with this beautiful business. So speaking of vision and sharing with people when they ask you what you do, I would like to spend a few minutes here, and I'm going to unmute the line here with one of our new associates. Let's see if she's still there. And I'm going to go over to Miss Tammy Moon, who is in the team of Lori Tassin and Annette and that whole team there. So let me unmute the line with Tammy. Hello, Miss Tammy. Are you there with us today?
I am.
Hey, Tammy. Thanks for joining us today. So any comments around the little stonemason story there? Does that hit home to you in your heart?
Oh, absolutely. Excitement and knowing what you're doing and being a part of something bigger. It always makes, like you mentioned, that he was really taking pride in his work and that kind of thing. knowing that there's a big picture always will make you want to work harder, and being a part of a team and all going towards one goal. So
Mm.
yeah, that really did.
I love it. I love it. So, yeah, Tammy, you and I are going to spend just a few minutes here going over some of the basics because, guys, one of your number one tools, think of a stonemason. His number one tool is his trowel, obviously his mortar, and he has to have his stones. Okay. So, and isogenics, your number one tool is not a physical tool. Your number one tool comes from inside of you. And in a moment, Tammy and I are going to role play this. She's going to ask me, and I'm going to share my story with you, and then we're going to give you some simple steps as far as how you can create your own sizzle story as well. And I do want to take this time also to let you know that, guys, we're sharing our story in so many places, from our conversations we have on Facebook when we're initially connecting with people, when we're networking out and about in life in general, or whether we're on the phone calling out to inviting our people to look at what we're doing, on our 3-week calls that we do with our team. Launch parties, another word for that is our in-homes. Again, Joy and I do an in-home every 2 weeks now in our home here in Granbury. Hopefully you're already doing some version of a launch party. It's a core basic skill. And remember, the first thing you do at a launch party is what? You share your story. And then you ask people, why they came, and you connect with who came to your party. Your welcome calls, and again, just as a reminder, when you do introduce people to your team, just like Tammy, did it feel really good to be now meeting your team, and even on Facebook, and everybody was saying, "Hey, welcome, welcome." How did that feel inside of you to be? Did it kind of begin to expand your vision?
Oh, absolutely. It made me feel as though I was part of something bigger, that
Hmm.
it was not just me and not just me and Lori, but it was part of something much bigger.
And have you had the privilege yet? Sorry to put you on the spot. Have you heard one of our little testimonial calls that Ellen leads on Monday nights?
I was there last night.
And what was that? The first part of the call, what was it all about?
It was about our story.
I love it. And just story after story after story. And for those listening, if you're new to the team and this community, every Monday night at 8 Central, 6 Pacific. If you're in Asia, it's Tuesday morning for you. It's just a cornerstone of our business, and not just the Monday night call, but also Facebook. Everywhere there's a story. And when you go to isamovie.com, you're hearing the story around toxicity on Are You Toxic? When you go to Entrepreneur Enterprising Women, you're hearing 4 different women sharing their story. Okay. So hopefully you're getting the point that this is a tool we use everywhere, anytime, anywhere, any place. And a number of you, in case you're nervous about it, it's okay. When we say from stage, whether it's a physical stage in front of a room full of people, or whether it's at your home on the phone, it's still your stage. One, we like to replace stage with life in general. Your life is your stage. Um, I do want to mention a couple things before Tammy and I kind of role play as far as some ins and outs of your story and how to create your own, or how to even enhance your story. Is that how many of you want to have a company that will be around for your grandbabies? Anybody? I know you do, Tammy. I know you're brand new, Tammy, to this community, but you're probably already beginning to fall in love with, you know, the products and what the business can do for people. So, guys, one of the huge things to be aware of when you do share your story, either on Facebook or even with your best friend across a shake or a cup of coffee in those rare cases, you want to be compliant. Remember, I don't want to start off on a downer note, but I do want to start off on a professional note. So remember, when you're sharing your story, please avoid words like diabetes, migraines, cancer, reflux, etc., and replace those with the symptom. So Tammy, can you share with us, did you have any particular of those non-compliant health challenges? Did you have any of those to speak of?
I did. I need another word for reflux.
Okay, that's a wonderful topic. So, and because my wife, I've shared my combo story, and you'll hear my combo story in a moment. It sounds kind of like, Tammy, you wouldn't believe what just happened. My goodness, Joy just lost 19 pounds, 21 inches. The burning, and here's your answer: the burning in her chest and stomach that's tied to some acid, it went away, and her blood levels now are within normal. She went from hottie to hottier. She is I have a brand new honey. And you wouldn't, and also, Tammy, I think part of my story. Maybe say you were an old friend. I would say, Tammy, my goodness, I got my health back. I've gained 5 pounds of needed muscle, and I felt this light switch is now turned back on. I'm not getting sick anymore. Tammy, we hadn't felt this good in years. And then I'm listening. So Tammy, if I shared that with you, what would be your typical response?
My typical response would be, Robert, tell me, what in the world you have done?
Yeah, exactly. And what most people do is then they pardon the analogy, but they do the VV thing. If you're taking notes, write the letter V and then V again. It stands for, I'm sorry, I know it's kind of a graphic a metaphor, but it stands for verbal vomit, meaning many people just instantly go into a full-blown presentation with Tammy. So the key is to short and sweet say, Tammy, it's this crazy thing called isogenics. It involves some yummy tasting products, and it's a system that works. And I'm new at this, but I would love to have you watch a couple little movies, and then I could answer some of your questions with the help of one of my business partners. Can you watch a movie right now or later? And remember, guys, in our last couple other modules, so if you haven't seen module 1 and module 2 on this little series, go back and Bethany and I kind of walk you through exactly what to do next. So when it comes to things like reflux, most of you know probably reflux is an acidic condition in the throat and stomach. It typically involves the purple pill. And so, Tammy, what you do is describe the symptoms. Say, I used to have real acidic conditions in my throat and stomach, and it felt like things were coming back up again. And that's been soothed, and I no longer have that issue. So, does that make sense, Tammy?
I can do that.
Okay.
It does.
And Tammy, if you have a friend who has migraines, again, we cannot use the name of the disease, and that's the disease. So you could say something like, Tammy, a friend. I'm glad you asked me. A friend of mine used to have to hide. She felt like she wanted to hide in a dark closet, hold her head because she had so much discomfort, and it's happened. And she felt that way off and on for months and even years. And now, with the help of this good nutrition and cleansing, now she no longer has that discomfort anymore. Okay, so what you do, guys, is it makes an even more powerful story actually when you learn to describe the symptom of that disease versus naming the disease. Okay, does that make sense, Tammy?
Yes, sir. It sure does.
Okay, and one very common one, guys, is diabetes. Instead of the saying, my friend used to have diabetes and now she no longer does, that's totally not kosher, not compliant. You could say, Tammy, my friend her blood sugar used to go way up and way down. She used to have to prick herself a little bit, and now because of good nutrition and really and turning her health around, this has really helped her balance that out, and now she's feeling incredible and she has energy all through the day. That's one way of describing. People know what that means. Okay, and whether you're across again on the phone with your best friend or whether you're in a public meeting or in a home party, it shouldn't really matter. Remember, professionals and leaders talk the same verbiage in any situation. So I want to move on here, but I did want to address that. Feel free to, you can go to Google and type in Isagenix, compliance, or even ask any of your upline partners, and we can give you more training on that. So it's all good. And as you've already heard me mention several times already, is that here are some keys to being a master storyteller. Remember, isn't it a cool thing to be in a business where this company pays us handsomely, actually 24 hours a day, for sharing our story, from the heart. It's a beautiful thing. So, and here are some keys to being a master at that, or becoming more masterful at that. Having an interest in other people, which is listening. Really, the key to effective prospecting, coaching, and mentoring is to become masterful at asking powerful, leading questions. So Tammy, do you ever look at ways to, take your health to a new level? Tammy, the other day on Facebook, you mentioned that your New Year resolutions felt good and sounded good a couple months ago, but you mentioned your energy wasn't there and you're having a little trouble getting out to the gym. Tammy, were you serious about making some changes, or were you just kind of, kidding around? Or, Tammy, the other day you mentioned when you saw that we'd gone on a cruise, you mentioned, oh my goodness, I love doing that. I just can't get out enough to do it. I can't seem to break away. I might ask a question like, Tammy, the other day, I know you mentioned to Joy and I that you would love to cruise more. Were you kind of just playing around, or would you actually like to see a way that you could possibly take more cruises with your loved ones? It's fun questions like that, and then you zip it and you listen. Be a good listener. It's all about your posture, your attitude, and remember, a smile comes across the phone. When you smile, there's an energy behind it. There's an energy behind positivity, and we all need to be positively contagious. Okay, so here are some key. Let's go ahead and walk you through a typical story in Isagenix. I'm going to advance the slides a little bit. If you're taking notes, feel free to write down the words in red. And in case you're wondering, we're going to show you a little template today of how to develop your story. And we do have these templates already up on our team site. In case you're brand new, or whether you are or not, we have a team website, and it's called successteamblog.com. successteamblog.com. I'm going to go ahead and forward to my template. Just bear with me. I'm going to come back to this in a moment. So this is the template. This is the template behind the health, quote, sizzle story. And then in a moment, I'm also going to show you a template behind the wealth version. So we have, when you go to Success Team Blog, there's a tab there, guys. And Tammy, hopefully you've already seen this, but if you haven't, this is where to find it, successteamblog.com. And there's a tab on the top right called Helpful Documents. And there's about 10 or 11 core documents that we all use every day. And one of those documents is called the $1 Million Story, or the $1 Million Template. And one is $1 Million Story Health, and the other template says $1 Million Story Wealth. And so if you're like me, I take notes regardless because it helps me learn. But just so you know, we do have this also in the form of a beautiful little PDF. Okay. So here's the template. When your story begins with, Tammy, I'm glad you asked me how we're doing, and it's been amazing. So before, just so you know, Tammy, I was kind of run down. I was getting sick every couple of months. About every 6 or 7 weeks, I would have some kind of respiratory thing going on. I had lost quite a bit of lean muscle. And along came my stepmom and good friend. Her name's Colleen. And that was, my goodness, 8.5 years ago now. And initially, what happened, Tammy, it was amazing. I stopped getting sick. I gained 5 pounds of lean muscle back on my body, which I really needed to do. And I began to get up in the morning before the alarm clock even rang. It had a new lease on life. And oh my goodness, Tammy, I'm now able to play with my grandkids like I was a kid again. I'm traveling around the planet with my wife, and we are so blessed. Okay. Do you see how the template flows, Tammy? You probably
do.
Yeah. So is this the first time seeing our little template for the story?
I think it is. I haven't come across it on the website yet.
Okay, super. So what I'd like you to do, if you want to play along with us today, and by the way, for those listening, Tammy, this is a very impromptu. I was in a kind of role play a little bit with Laurie, and her audio wasn't quite. There was some background noise. So Tammy is on Laurie's team. So Tammy, thanks for being spontaneous and stepping up. So Tammy, do you have a sheet of paper there with you?
I do.
Wonderful. So what I'd like you to do, and for those on this webinar, this is an interactive training, so hopefully you can play along with us. So what I'd ask you to do, Tammy, is pull out a piece of paper, and I'm going to do this with you just real quick here. Just 1 second. Let me pull up a new notepad here. Here we go. Okay. So Tammy, if I were to ask you this question, and here's how you, and this is a basic, a basic activity that each of you want to do with your people on your team. Like when you enroll somebody, Tammy, and let's say on the Miracle Day 5, we call the Day 5, the Miracle Day 5 phone call, where they're raving about how they're feeling compared to how they were feeling. And they said, man, Tammy, how do I make some money with you? I want to get my products paid for. Then you say, wonderful, let's start making some calls. And then we teach them the 5-step system. And before we do that, I would say, Tammy, let's also put together your little 30-second story, because this is going to serve you so well. And this will be your number one tool as we begin to help other people around you. Okay, you ready? Ready or not? Here we go. Okay. All right, Tammy. Okay, so I'm going to help you put together your story. So, okay, Tammy, so tell me, what were your top 3, if you will, things you wanted to work on or challenges before Isagenix? What were the top 3?
I was very tired all of the time.
Okay.
I had problems sleeping at night. And my top 3. Well, my third one was just that I was overweight. Am overweight. But those were my 2 big ones. I was tired all the time, and then yet I couldn't sleep at night.
Tired all the time, trouble sleeping through the night, and were you struggling with your weight, or was that kind of a lesser issue?
No, struggling is very much an understatement.
Okay. So you just had a challenging time finding something that worked for your weight. Okay. Struggling with weight. Okay. Very good. Okay. That's number 1. And you were introduced to Isagenix by?
Lori Tassin, my high school friend. We graduated from high school together.
I love it. So introduced. I think I was visiting Lori and her family when she called you after.
You were.
Yeah, I sure was. Okay, introduced by, and here's the key, guys. So with your permission, let's set the stage. So if you just said, I was introduced by a friend, or I was, I heard about this, a month ago. Remember, guys, every little thing here is you're now introducing to your prospective, customer and or business partner, the concept of how we do this. Remember, by saying I was introduced by a good friend from high school. Now, what's happening in their mind? They're thinking, okay, I went to high school and maybe I have a couple friends. And it's a lady. Her name's Lori. And okay, cool. I have some ladies who I went to high school with. So you see what's happening, guys? You're obviously already beginning to plant a few seeds in their mind that, well, maybe I could do this too. Okay. All right. So Tammy, in your case, you would say you've been on the products now for how long?
15 days.
15 days. Okay, super. All right, I've been on products. So what are you doing by sharing with them how long you've been using the products? What are you doing in their mind?
You're validating that you're not just selling, you're actually doing this.
I love how you said that. Yeah, I love it. Validation, credibility, you're coming from a place that's authentic. I love it. Okay. All right. And here comes the sizzle part, if you will. So, and you're whether you say as a result, that sounds kind of clinical from my perspective. You might say, my goodness, and here's my goodness, you wouldn't believe what's happened. Whatever your verb is, whatever your words are. So it's been 15 days. So now, Tammy, now share with us, if you want to use, let's just use 3 or 4 for now. What top 3 or more things have now happened after 15 days?
I have lost over 12 pounds and 12 inches. I am sleeping all night soundly, which I have not done in years. And my husband told me last night I have a pep in my step. I'm so full of energy.
I love it. Okay, you were sharing much faster than I could peck on my iPad.
Oh,
So
stop.
no, it's okay. You've lost over 12 pounds and 12 inches. I love it. That's number one. And number 3 was a pep in your step. But what was number 2? Was it sleeping?
Yes.
Sleeping like a baby. Okay.
No, better than a baby.
Oh, I love it. Much better than a baby. Okay.
Yeah.
Sleeping like Rip Van Winkle or something like that. Okay, very good. All right, sleeping like a hound dog or something. I'm not sure. That's probably not the ideal word to use, but you're sleeping soundly at night. Sleeping deeply. And I'm assuming you're getting up more rested in the morning along with that.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. I love it. Laurie's probably cracking up over my hound dog analogy, but okay. Lost over 12 pounds, 12 inches, sleeping deeply, getting up more rested, and my hubby, I love that. My hubby. It definitely paints a word picture, doesn't it, guys? When you say you can picture in your mind her hubby saying, "Honey, there's a pep in your step." Your hubby is saying, what were your words? What was your exact verbiage?
If that's it, that I had pep in my step. Of course, he elaborated and said, you haven't seen you like this in several years. So
I love it. A pep in your step. A pep in my step. Okay. Okay, and step number 5. And here's the difference. In case you're wondering on the line on this webinar, Tammy probably is, maybe, I know I did when I first saw this template. Number 4 and number 5 sound alike, but what's different is that number 4 here, as a result, it's a kind of it's the word pictures, but now we want to shift into the heart. Okay, so meaning you can visually in your mind see in your head, okay, wow, 12 pounds, 12 inches, she's shrinking, she's sleeping deeply at night. Even her hubby is saying, oh my goodness, honey, you got more pep and more energy. I love it. So now shift even deeper. Now you want to even bring it home where you can actually, the person you're talking to can actually feel it even on a deeper emotional level. And let's go back to my example. See my example, like Tammy's, just I stopped getting sick, gained 5 pounds, getting up, ready to go. And now I shifted in a deeper place, okay? I'm now able to play even longer with my grand munchkins. That would be how I would say that, okay? Because before I could play with them, but I just didn't have as much stamina and endurance. So I'm able to spend precious, priceless time now with my loved ones. I'm able to travel. I was able to travel before, but Tammy, now I can travel and still have the energy and stamina to have an even just a richer experience. And oh my goodness, I feel so much good. I feel so much better now about having the time. I can now see my dad whenever. I'm seeing him again in a couple of weeks. I'm going to see the grandkids. I just got off this incredible cruise with my honeybee, and we could never have this time together like this in the past. See, I went deeper into that emotional place. So because of you have a tool now where you're actually, getting a handle around the weight challenges. You're sleeping deeper. Your hubby is like, just super happy for you. So what's a deeper emotional place that's happening because of the shifts you're already seeing, Tammy?
I'm more engaged with my family. I'm not wanting to go take naps in the afternoons. So I'm able to spend that time with my family where I couldn't before. I chose not to before. Um, I'm happier. I see a positive change in myself. So it's really improving my attitude and my outlook.
I love it. And this part of the story is more this is the priceless part. Yeah, you know, we can buy programs which help us sleep deeper, lose weight. We can't really buy the hubby being happy, but anyway, but you see the point, Tammy. It's a deeper place, isn't it?
It
Hmm.
is.
Hmm. I love it. You're more engaged with your family, which is priceless. You're a happier person, which changes everything how you live life. And then the last thing you said, you see a positive. I missed that part.
I see a positive change on the outside, which gives me hope for a permanent positive change in the long term.
Hmm.
Those are different words than I said before, but I don't remember my exact words and I didn't write them down.
No, we're coming from the heart. Okay, we're coming from the heart. So, and I do want to challenge you to write this down because you want to have this story written down. And just to give you an example, you know, Joy and I have been doing this business for 9 years. We had this story early on, and we've actually rewrote and then practiced and rewrote and practiced and rewrote and practiced and rewrote and practiced and rewritten and practiced our story. Oh my goodness, over 100 times. So I want to challenge each of you on this line to not just again view these slides, but take the next step and really write it down. And when you have your story in written form, get in front of the mirror, smiling, okay, and practice your story. See if you're contagious, positively contagious. And then Tammy, in your case, you would then call Laurie and say, "Hey, Laurie, I need to practice. I need to do some PDR, which is practice, drill, and rehearse with you." And Laurie would be all over that. Then you share your story. Laurie shares her, gives you some tweaks, some ways to improve it. You go back and forth 4 or 5 times, and really get your story down. Are you up to that challenge, Tammy?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So again, that is the health side of things. And you see, again, you heard Tammy's example, which is awesome. So Tammy, do you think you can go through this little 5 steps based on what you just shared with me, or shall I kind of run through it with you? How can we best do that?
I might be able to do it.
Okay, here we go. We're putting Tammy on the spot. Drum roll. Okay, I'm gonna get my timer out, and I'm gonna do this real fun here. Okay, I got my timer out, and we're gonna see how we can, if Tammy can get this down in 30 seconds or less. Just 1 second. And this is serious stuff. Meaning, this. Think about that. If you knew in your heart and your mind, and you say you wanted to build a residual income so you could change a bunch of lives and give back and really make a difference on the planet and your church and everywhere, and much more than that. And if you knew and you were taught by all the millionaires in this company that, okay, guys, your number one tool to get down and your number one to get down and your number one tool to build your business with is this, would you spend time on refining and getting that tool like to where it rocks? Hopefully you're nodding your head. Okay. All right. So even when you practice this, Tammy, and those listening on the line with your upline and your mirror, whatever, get a stopwatch because it's so easy to go into a minute, 2 minutes, and 5 minutes version of it. So, all right. So here we go. We're going to challenge Tammy. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and she will start at the top and share a little her story with us. So 1, 2, 3. So Tammy, what's happening?
I'm sorry. You want me to go right into this, right?
Okay. Actually, let's start it again. So, okay, I won't start my timer until I'm going to say, Tammy, that sounds amazing. I saw your story on Facebook. Can you tell me again what's been happening? And then she'll share her story. So Tammy, I saw Laurie celebrating with you on Facebook, and my goodness, I can't wait to hear what's been happening. So Tammy, what's up with your story? What's happening?
I am so glad that you asked. Before Isagenix, I was feeling tired and I wasn't able to sleep all night. And I obviously have been having problems with my weight. Well, my friend Lori introduced me to Isagenix. She was my friend in high school. So I've been on these products for 15 days, And in those 15 days, I've lost over 12 pounds and 12 inches. I sleep all night, soundly, beautiful sleep. And I wake up energized and ready to go. And now I'm able to spend that time that I was wanting to rest in the afternoons. I'm able to spend that time with my family. I'm able to engage with my family. Um, Now I've forgotten my others.
No, it's
See,
all
I
good.
should have written it down.
So Tammy, you got me. So sign me up. And the typical response was, wow, what is it again? And then remember, guys, then you pause. Remember, then the next step is to book the look. Remember, the look is the either ISA movie or you meet them, at Starbucks or whatever your next step is. Okay, and that's taught to you step by step on module 1 and 2. Okay, so Tammy, you did an awesome job, and that was a 1-minute story. So that's why I want you to practice and get with Laurie and drop me a text or Facebook message when you get that story down to 30 seconds. Because one of the things you want to have here, guys, and let me fast forward to one additional slide. Bear with me. Sorry, I'm jumping around. Here it is. You do want to have a 30-second version for like when you see somebody and all you have is a quick like 5 minutes or less, okay? Or you call them and all you're doing is booking the look. You want to have a 30-second version, which we're practicing today, and you want to have a 2-minute version. Let's say you're at an in-home presentation, or let's say that you may be in a group setting, or you and your friend are leisurely having lunch, okay? Then you want to have maybe a 2-minute version. And when they ask you what it is, say, now let's just catch up and talk about the family, enjoy our lunch. But what time can we get? Just pull out your calendar and you book the look. You separate the invitation from the presentation. If you want to write a nugget down, this is one of my favorite nuggets. Separate the invitation. Again, separate the invitation from the presentation. That's a huge nugget right there. Okay. And then the 5-minute version is maybe you were teaching a training piece at one of our Super Saturdays or universities, and you have more time, an hour or more with your audience. So you do want to have several different variations. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right, so let's go back into the flow. So you heard Tammy's awesome story, and there's a version for me as well. And when I will tell you this, guys, when I typically when I share my story, because the most people have weight to gain or weight to lose. Okay, that's kind of a no-brainer. So when I share my story, it's typically a combination story where I share Joy's story and my story together, and I can get that down where it's really really quick. Okay, so now, and alongside of that, you definitely want to have a story that expands the vision. So remember, your story doesn't need to be all health and products. Remember, what's Isagenix? We have solutions for weight loss, energy performance, healthy aging, and the big one, wealth creation. All right. So here's an example of a wealth version. Tammy, I'm so glad you asked. Before Joy and I got involved with this home biz we're involved with, I called Isagenix. I was simply trading time for money. And Tammy, Joy, and I were building somebody else's dream. We kept buying the next airplane. Well, what happened 8.5 years ago? Our good friend and stepmom Colleen introduced us to this company. And by the way, I got my health back. I gained 5 pounds, and I began to, we had money at the end of the month, and we began to pay off debts. It's now been over 8.5 years. My wife and I, Joy and I, have created complete financial freedom, and we continue to attract these amazing people. We've earned over $1 million. Obviously, if you're brand new to the business, then look at the bottom of the screen, and Tammy, you could say something like, I'm starting to pay for my products. I found a way to bring in some extra income into our household, and the company's paying me for just sharing my story with people around me. And Robert, I'm working with this group of professionals, including a number of millionaires, and they're teaching me exactly how to build this business. Does that make sense, Tammy?
Yes, I was on mute. I'm sorry.
No, that's not a problem. I know you're on mute. So just see the difference, Tammy? You can actually combine the story.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay. And so remember, guys, you want to do people the service, if you will, to share with them the big picture. And remember, even as you hopefully you've already seen the other modules. One thing Bethany and I talked about was even when you go with the ISA movie, Tammy, whenever you send somebody to ISA movie and you say, I want you to watch this video and that video, you remember always do them the service of having them watch videos about the product and about the wealth creation. Okay. And then when they watch the videos and you call them back, ask the magic question. So, Tammy, when you watch those videos, what stands out? And then you engage what you have two of as opposed to one of and listen. Open up your ears and listen and your heart. So, Tammy, for the sake of time, I'm going to, not really walk you through the wealth template, but I am going to challenge you. And I'm also challenging Laura, your sponsor. I know she's on the line listening. Laurie, I would challenge you and Tammy to get together and really get her wealth story down along with your health story. Because Tammy, wouldn't you agree? There's obviously some situations where it's more appropriate to maybe share mainly a health story.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's other situations where because of the environment and how close you are or the relationship or what led to the conversation, then you share the big picture. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So awesome. So hope that makes sense, guys. So you definitely want to get both stories down in written form. And if you come to any of our ISA universities, there's also an event we do in the company called University in Action. In those events, you will write and then rewrite and then rewrite and then practice and then rewrite again your story. Because again, it's your numero uno tool in your business. And both of these templates are in the successteamblog.com on the helpful documents tab. Okay. All right. So your call to action from this training today is number one, think of the three stonemasons. Which one are you stepping into? Do you have this big, bold, audacious vision that's expanding daily? Remember, I could have just said expand your vision, but we added the word daily. Work on that vision constantly. If any of you were on the leadership call last night, we interviewed Joanne Blackman, and one of Joanne's huge keys to all of her success in both companies, including a previous one, was she expanded her vision constantly. Okay. And just like I'm challenging you, Tammy, and Joy, and I have done many, many times, and each of you listening to this webinar, get these templates, print them out, write it down, write your story down, and practice it. And then practice it some more. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. And then always, always, always develop the skills. How many of us sometimes when there's silence in a conversation or somebody pause and we get a little scared or a little nervous? You can be honest. I know I do still. And what I've come to realize is that the more I do that, and the more I pause and listen, you see the power of that. Then you kind of lower your volume and listen. So Tammy, so after you watch those videos, what do you think? Or Tammy, that's a great question. What do you mean by that? And listen, because think about this, guys. How much of the time in different conversations, especially when you're prospecting, are you reading all these different things into the conversation? And then when you find out, it's not even remotely close to what you were scared of. Yes? Anybody relate to that one? I know I do that frequently. Okay. So constantly improve your listening skills, which is really the key to becoming a masterful, connector, prospector, and team builder. All right. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. All right, so we covered expanding your vision with a little fun little story with the stonemason. We covered, hopefully you've really enjoyed the templates and an example of Tammy and I walked through today of developing your story. And this is time extremely well invested with your people. Help them refine and get their story down to where it flows from their heart. Okay, and then obviously, hopefully, we made a very, very, very strong point of one of the most key areas to work on is your ability to actively listen. So again, this business, a huge part of this business is your ability to envision where you're going in a clear manner, your vision and your belief. And we've all, I'm sure in our mind's eye, have read stories. This is a fun little analogy, that little acorn there, when you plant it and with the right moisture and the right soil and the sunlight, and look at what it can create. This huge, huge oak tree, which can be a haven of rest and a haven. Families will come there and have picnics, and all kinds of things happen for years and even decades from that one little acorn. And that tree will make, in turn, thousands and thousands of other acorns, other oak trees. So whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, and I personally add with the help of God, our Creator, it can achieve when we have faith and we persevere. So I do want to reach out and thank you. If you can unmute one more time, and I'd love for you to maybe to share a comment or even a nugget from the training today. And thanks for being spontaneous and stepping up today to help us out, Miss Tammy.
Oh, no problem. No, this was excellent because I am just starting. So really getting and knowing that was a minute and I've got to cut it in half.
I know, it's fun. And you see the key to the only way to get from where you are right now to having even a more, sizzling and even more, maybe even powerful story is to practice it, yes?
Exactly.
Yeah, so PDR, so definitely call Laurie, and when you get it down to 30 seconds, which will be quickly, then feel free to call me and Joy, and I'd love to hear your 30-second sizzle. So guys, we build this as a team, and Tammy, you're awesome. Can't wait to meet you in person and help you and together change many, many lives. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my recording here, guys. And this is module 3, so please tune in to the other second modules, and we have 3 more incredible modules coming up. So hope you'll join us on next Tuesday as well.